Call our meeting to order for March 23rd, Conservation Commission. Our first agenda item is open forum. Members from the commission have anything for open forum?
No.
Jim?
Jim has.
Jim does.
Go for it.
The shed on Elm Road that we had asked the resident to move, do you remember that? There's no house on the property, it's just a
Yes, they
shed.
just had the shed and we wanted
Yeah,
them to
it's-
move it.
It hasn't been moved, it's still.
Yeah, I'll follow up with
same
that
spot.
and get that.
All set.
That's all.
About a year ago, the town applied for a grant called the Municipal Vulnerability and Preparedness Program. And specifically, the town said, under that grant, if we won it, we would write a management and control plan for tree and invasive species inventory. So we look at town properties, look at what kind of trees we have, look for invasive species, and then come up with a management plan for them. So the town actually did win the award. It's
Nobody wants to do the work.
It's something like $80,000 or $90,000 or something. And on April 14th, Jeff Morissette is running a Zoom meeting to get interested parties and groups involved. I'm gonna be there for the, I'm gonna participate because we wanna put some of the town forest land that I'm responsible for under the program to be inventoried, and especially for
Cool.
invasive species. And I would think that.
So it's a hybrid or simply a remote meeting? If it's on Zoom, it's just gotta be remote.
Yeah, it's a virtual meeting.
It's like
Okay.
7 to 9 o'clock on the 14th of April.
And from the Conservation Trust, remember, who is it that did all that work with invasive species? Who was the one?
Ron was the president at the
Yeah.
time when they started all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
they
don't
should
know.
know about it too,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
The town's gonna be advertising it a lot. I know that it's been in the
Forgot
town
who the
manager's
one man was
newsletter
that went out and did
Jeff
all
said
that
I
stuff
know.
on Lawton's and.
Last to all his email addresses.
Yeah, I think he sent out an email to boards and committees. It's in our packet. It'll be in the next packet.
Okay.
I hope we can get it in the select board packet for their upcoming meeting.
The real issue.
Yeah,
It's all over my property.
Just make sure we have an easy link to get into Zoom, and then it's
I think it's
not a
on
problem.
down the bottom of it. It should
Oh,
be.
yeah, this is the
Yeah,
flyer
here's
that
the
came
flyer.
along with it. And no, it's not a
When did that come
pre-registered.
out?
It's today.
Oh, today?
It's not a
Must have been after I
pre-registered
left.
link. You just click on the link and it goes to Zoom.
Yeah,
So you gotta wait till the 14th to hit it.
well, you gotta have Zoom installed too.
Right.
Anything else from the commission members? So I have something. So in June, I'm up for reappointment, and after 22 years on the commission, I'll be not carrying on.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It leaves me as the old.
I thought you'd beat me for sure.
No, no way. I'm not gonna- After 22 years, I just turned 70, and I've got some other
Peter,
plans
I'm
to do.
87. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I know,
except
but
that
I
you're a
just, you know.
baby.
It does.
I serve on 4 other boards.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I'm just
so-
giving you a hard time.
I'm trying to cut down so I can spend more time with my grandkids and spend more time in Maine in the summer at our summer home. So, yeah, I won't be seeking reappointment. My last meeting with you guys will be June 8th, which is our
June
first
8th,
meeting in
okay.
June. And so it's with very mixed feelings, so,
That'd be a big loss.
It is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
yeah,
You have
Surprised.
to have a little party.
sure.
A bigger party,
Big
maybe.
party.
Okay, anything for open forum from you?
Mr. Chair, went out with Beaver Solutions yesterday. They were doing their annual maintenance of the flow control devices, the beaver exclusion, protective fences around culverts, and at least the couple that Sierra and I tagged along with, things looked pretty good. And I'll be waiting for their report to see what, if anything requires actual maintenance for upkeep, but the couple I looked at were good, and certainly have been some concerns with beavers this past spring. I guess it's only into May, but water levels had been high, and I think have gone down some since then. And also, the girls met with the Girl Scouts this afternoon, who are looking to place the bat boxes out at the edge of the day field. So you should be getting an update with photos in probably the next month and a half of those getting installed. And I was excited to meet with them and kind of find some good locations on that north edge of the field to put them in.
Good. Anything from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our 7:05 agenda item, which is a continuation of a public hearing and issue order of contingents for Nokia 1 Robbins Road.
Pointed just in case.
Okay, so we had a bunch of questions, and yeah, I know you sent us a letter, so why don't you go through those responses that you gave us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and for again, congratulations on the 22 years on the board. That's terrific. So great to hear that. All right. Good evening, everybody. Last time we were here, you all had some questions on the project. We submitted a letter and last week, and then earlier this week there was a couple updates to that response that we sent out to ask Matt to give to the commission, and I have that more recent letter in my hand here. So the first question was just where does the sewer for the facility ultimately discharge to? And there was, we provided a figure 1 with the first response letter that did not get updated. It did not need to be updated with the second response letter. But the facility discharges today to a pump station on 1 Robbins Road. We discussed that during our last conversation. But then the question was, okay, well, it goes to a pump station, where does it go after that? And it heads to a wastewater treatment plant located on south of 4 Robbins Road there as part of the 4 Robbins Road property. That facility is maintained and operated by 4 Robbins Road and Whitewater. Whitewater is the company. And so it leaves the ejector pump, goes into Robbins Road where there's an existing sanitary system. And there it goes via gravity to the wastewater treatment plant. So, end location, wastewater treatment plant, 4 Robbins Road. That's a response on number 1. Number 2 was, well, what's the flow that's being sent to the pump station? So at the time of the meeting, I didn't have the exact numbers, but the project proposes an increase in flow of approximately 2,846 gallons per day. Then it was, will the facility there that it's going to be able to accept the increase in flow? So we reached out to the owner and regarding the acceptance of the project flow to the wastewater treatment plant, and we received a letter from the owner. They coordinated with Whitewater, and they were fine accepting this flow and the type of wastewater that's being discharged there. So we provided that letter with a response. What's the classification of the sewer that's being created by the facility? So in the testimony, it was that it's coming from the cooling tower. That cooling tower discharges, it blows down on a daily basis. As part of that cleanup, that blow down as it cleans out, there's some chemicals to prevent some bacteria treatment into that. So researching the plumbing code doesn't allow for that type of discharge to go to the drainage system. It's actually required to go to the sanitary sewer system. And in speaking with the operators at the Whitewater, for the wastewater treatment plant, they're aware of that, and they will be, well, that was part of the acceptance of the flow as part of that conversation. So they're aware of that, and they're ready to treat that at the wastewater treatment plant. Then there was a question about request to install a backflow preventer at the existing sewer manhole. So as part of the design, there's a pump station proposed. It has a sanitary sewer force main that leaves the project locus area, heads to the existing sewer manhole on the southeast side of the existing building. And at that discharge point into that existing sewer manhole, we added a backflow preventer to that force main discharge pipe on the plans. So that's now included on sheet C100 and C302. Make sure that that was included. So on C100, I noticed Eric's looking at the plan.
Yeah.
Yep, so there's a, there is a detail where the, do you see that? There's a detail of the discharge going into the sewer manhole structure. It talks about having a 90-degree elbow bend there, and we added the note about having the backflow preventer installed prior to that 90-degree bend.
I'm looking at trying to find which,
Sure, yeah, I got it.
Detail?
yes.
It's on C, but there's a lot of different details there,
Right,
so.
I'm on-
Bottom center,
100, exactly.
Where is it?
bottom center.
Bottom center, okay.
There we go.
Got it.
Yep, force main discharge detail cross-section. There you go. And C302 is just a note of the same thing, pointing to the sewer manhole. And then the last comment on this letter is to install the secondary containment pipe with a leak detection system over the sewer force main within the 100-foot buffer zone. There was a discussion about having the sewer within the force main within the 100-foot buffer zone, and if there was a way to do a containment pipe.
Thought we said not a pipe, I thought we said it needed to be vaulted
Well,
instead of a pipe within a pipe, because he's talking about a sleeve over the existing pipe.
we did the pipe within the pipe for the high school.
That's the purpose, right? And that's where the leak detection system.
Right, I just thought we wanted something more than a pipe. Usually within 100, we wanted it within a structure, not just a pipe,
Right.
a sleeve. That's the way we've done it in the past.
Concrete,
Yeah,
box.
a box is what we've done.
Yeah, how many feet are within the 100?
I could scale that off if you want me to, but I'm sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head.
Other than that, he's addressed it, you know, but that's typically what we would do.
Yeah.
We can approve it with the amendment.
We can, yeah. He's just got to realize what it's going to add to the costs.
Can I be very rough with the
Yeah,
number?
sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Roughly 200 feet of force main.
Okay,
Yeah, because that's what we would require.
yeah, so we can add that in.
Yeah, if that's okay, you know, it's,
So generally, anything within 100, besides having the pipe within the leak detection system, we've always made people encase it.
Okay.
You're going to have to put the pipe in concrete.
What does the alarm ring at?
It will notify the owner. We've asked it to be, the sewer pump station has an alarm system that calls the owner, so we'd be asking it to do the same thing with this as well.
So are we going to assume that's going to be okay with you guys to do that? Or do you want to check?
because if it's okay, we'll just approve these orders as amended.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it, because we can't relocate the.
Yeah, that's what we would require you to
You
do.
can't relocate the pipe, so it's like, we're not going to approve it unless you do it.
Yes.
Sounds like a good plan for me.
Well, we will approve it as amended.
I don't see any way around.
Yeah, it's just how we've
Yes,
always
sure.
done it, with
Yeah.
anything within the 100.
Okay, and Mr. Chair, if I can just be clear, is it it's the force main, the plastic force main pipe itself, inside a concrete box that has a void to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the pipe is just laid within the box?
Yep.
And the box is that secondary containment?
Right, because we consider it a structure to the building. So it's
sorry?
actually, we almost consider it part of the building.
Right.
So it will be located on the site, it won't be attached to the building, just to make sure we're clear on that?
Right.
Okay, all right. And then there would be a tracing wire, of course, for the notification within that box. Okay, I just want to make sure, when you say concrete encasement, that I'm on the same page there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so are you okay with it? We'll
Yes.
let them know that, all right? We'll amend the plans to show that as the,
Okay, and we're going to amend our orders to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to the orders. Does anybody have any changes to the orders, Margaret?
Look good.
Yeah, I just had two amendments to the finding. The second finding that talks about no work within the 30-foot buffer zone, I thought it'd be good to note that there are also no permanent structures proposed within the 55-foot. You know, it's what you're doing. Let's put it there in black and white for everybody to see. And then on the fourth finding, there was talk about 3 trees being removed, and I couldn't remember from the discussion whether replacement trees were gonna be planted anywhere, and whether that's something, because normally when
Yep.
trees are coming down in the buffer, we ask to have
Yeah.
replacements planted.
There's a few little landscape trees there. Do you guys want to put a few trees back?
Yeah.
We said we'd do that in the language, just doesn't say specifically, yeah.
Okay, sure.
So we'll add that too.
Okay.
So there's the 3 trees in the landscape area that are being removed, we'll just find 3 locations
Yeah,
nearby to
wherever.
put them there.
Wherever it's good.
Okay.
And then just typically, we like indigenous trees, so, you know,
Yes.
something
Yep, I hear
native to
you.
town.
Norway
Yep.
maples.
Yeah.
And also, because
Yeah.
now it's been reclassified, the waste or the next 5 years.
Yep, right.
Water,
Yeah,
We'll
that was, I'll update that.
5, yeah.
So you guys have any other changes in these orders?
I had submitted to Matt just a couple minor changes to it as well.
Yeah, I think one was the decrease in impervious area. I think it's going up nominally.
Yeah, it was the 510 square feet, correct.
Just kind of correcting that.
Yep.
And then I forgot what the second
The
one.
second one was the definition, whomever just picked that up as a definition. And the third one I just pointed out at the bottom was the updated response letter, just as an item that you guys received as part of this application.
Okay, we good?
Good.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the amended order conditions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Wait,
Wait.
We don't when we do the orders, okay, yep.
so you had a motion, I did the second.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
Yep. Okay, you guys are good.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much for
much.
your help, and congratulations again.
Congrats. 22 years.
I'll be in touch tomorrow to figure out.
Thank you, Matt, appreciate it.
Oak trees would be good. Think about oak trees.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our 7:10, which is a public hearing for Ayala, 5 Assabet Road, and I
You're
have to...
recusing
I
yourself,
recuse myself because I'm his neighbor.
so you'll read the, yep, go for it.
Under Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, at 7:10 PM in Meeting Room, excuse me, 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Luis Ayala for installation of a 10 by 12 shed within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland resource at 5 Assabet Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Luis Ayala. You pronounced it correctly.
Thank you.
I am here because I am proposing to put a shed on my yard in a different location. There was previously 2 sheds. I removed them. They were closer to the conservation area. So I want to place them closer to my house, far from the conservation area, and also far from some trees that are bended, close to because the wind just
Yeah.
put them in a position that they may fall over the previous shed. That's why I move it. And
So what is in the location now with the new shed is going to be?
it's here. It's a 52.6.
Is it grass, is it
It's
wooded?
grass.
Oh, so-
but
okay, so
but
it's
it will be, but it will be put on a 3/4 inch gravel surface in order to permit the percolation of the water through all the surface distributed evenly, in order to get clean to the conservation area. It will be the gravel will be like 2 feet far from the shed, just to allow the people who build their shed.
No digging of any soil or anything?
No, we are not.
It's
the-
on,
it's
on
flat
existing
surface.
grass?
It's a flat surface,
Okay.
and it's just grass, and we are going to put like the gravel of 3/4 that we will buy. So
Looks fairly level.
Yep, I went out when Mr. Ayala originally came in looking to do this, and I know, Margaret, I've received
I
comments.
mean, I really don't see, I don't
Well,
see any
it's-
issues here, other than needing to come in to comply.
Right, and also the 55 to the buffer for the regulations. That was an oversight. I was focused on the 50-foot minor activity under the regs, under the act, but not the 55 under the rules and regulations. So, if it's the commission's pleasure, I'd recommend
Just
a
push it
condition.
back a few feet.
Yeah, a condition where I go
Yeah.
out, measure 55, put a little stake in the ground.
To the edge of the shed and start from there.
Right,
yeah.
and that's the nearest it can be.
But other than that, I don't really,
Yep.
go ahead, Jim.
I have a question. Is there something back in this area here?
Yes, those were the sheds that.
Old shed.
had-
Old
he-
ones that you took out?
That he had previously removed, so.
Great.
There,
Thank
he'd already did it by the time I got out there, and I was like, oh, well.
But
it's
they
a-
weren't in the
net-
older pictures, but they were in the 2019 overheads.
Have any other?
I also
comments?
removed the other one that it's
Yeah.
behind the
kinda-
trees.
Yeah, it's kind of hiding in here,
See that?
yeah.
Commission, have any other comments and requests of this, request for determination? Any questions from the audience in regards to this request for determination? Conditional or just a negative?
Conditional,
Okay.
that I go out and,
All right.
make sure it's at 50.
Can I have a motion then to issue a conditional negative determination for 5 Area Road?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're all set. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Does he need to pick up anything from you?
I'll be in touch tomorrow. Figure out that.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our 7:15, which is a public hearing for Casano, 85 Carlisle Road, 2 Anamarique Way, and 3 Anamarique Way.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, at 7:15 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Lauren Cusano for construction of a three single-family dwellings, site grading, and installation of associated utilities, portions of which are within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and within 200 feet of a perennial stream at 85 Carlisle Road, 2 Anne Marique Way, and 3 Anne Marique Way.
Good evening.
Evening.
Give me a second.
Boy, this lot's been sitting there for a while. We permitted this long ago.
Yeah, that was whatchamacallit that had this,
Yeah.
what was his name?
Who, Quinn? Was it Terry?
Before I start working here, sorry.
It's the Queen's mother's property.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I remember
By
Terry.
Anne Marie
It was
Quinn.
Terry came, was here the last
Yeah.
time for us, yeah.
Many, many years ago.
Many,
Many, many years ago.
Yeah,
And they put the
Remember
road
that.
in.
I remember that.
Glad you remember.
Yeah,
Saves me from explaining a little bit.
okay.
Good evening, my name is Ian Ainsley. I am the engineer on the project from Meisner Brem. I'm also here with Lauren and Don Cusano, who are the applicant and the builder. This was a subdivision that was approved and permitted by the town back in 2005. Anne Marique Way and 3 single-family lots. The planning board approval, septic approval, conservation order of conditions. They started building out there. They built the road with the binder coat of pavement, and then they never got to the lots. I think there's a variety of reasons. I think the biggest one was probably the economic crash, 2007, 2008. A lot of projects just stopped. Some of them came back, some of them didn't, and this is one that is finally coming back now. So there's 3 different lots, and they're very, very similar to what the commission approved back in 2005. And I'll just kind of go through them one at a time. This is Lot 1, which is on the corner of Carlisle Road and Anne Marique Way. This is the riverfront area right here, everything up above this line. So the house and the septic system will be constructed totally outside the riverfront and any other buffer zone. The only work within the conservation jurisdiction is the construction of the well and the water line to the house. We had to put the well back here because the septic system was up in the front. You need to be 100 feet away from a well to a septic system. This is very similar to the same lot that was approved back then, same amount of disturbance, same location of the well. So that's the gist of lot 1. That's probably the simpler one. This is lot 2, otherwise known as 3 Amerique Way. This one is in the middle. This one has the most amount of work on it. You can see here's the bordering vegetated wetland back here. 50-foot buffer right here, 75-foot, 100-foot. And then the riverfront right here, 200-foot. So this is similar to what was approved previously as well, and we're actually using the exact same limit of work that was approved back then. The house will be constructed in the 100-foot and the 200-foot riverfront buffer, or the riverfront. The building is outside of Westford's 75-foot no-build zone, so it does meet that. And the closest point of disturbance to the buffer zone is 50 feet away, so it's meeting the no disturb regulation as well. The things that would be constructed in the resource area / buffer, a portion of the house, some grading, a portion of the driveway, a retaining wall, and roof infiltration systems that were on the old plans as well. And then the well will be located back here to get it away from the septic system. And then just to finish up, lot number 3, otherwise known as 2 Amerique Way. Not much going on in this one. So right now the stormwater system for the road is back here, and I do want to mention that we did come back in I think December, and we got a certificate of compliance for the old order of conditions for that stormwater system. It's fully built, it's fully complete. The road is discharging to it right now. We're not proposing to make any sort of change to that. The permit request here is just for some grading within the 100-foot buffer zone associated with the construction of the house. The house itself, the septic system, and it looks like the well too are all outside the buffer, so that's only grading and landscaping essentially. And that's really the gist of it, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Margaret?
Yeah, so starting with lot 2, it looks like there's no space behind the house for even a patio or any lawn, and I'm wondering how, because of these, it's designed this way because of the constraints for limiting disturbance in the riverfront area. How is that going to be communicated to prospective buyers in the future so we don't have somebody coming in complaining they bought this house and they can't have anything in their backyard?
Absolutely. So this is actually also in Natural Heritage Endangered Species area. And one of their conditions at the time was that we place permanent markers back there. That's a common thing that they do. I haven't gotten a response from them yet. They have 30 days to look at this. I think today's day 28, so hopefully in the next 2 days they're going to say something. But since that was what they wanted before, we're keeping the same thing. So there are actually on here, I think, stone bounds, concrete bounds, 4x4, that are going to be put back there to mark kind of the permanent edge of work. And we can always put, some kind of placard, some kind of sign on there that says, conservation land, no disturbance, something like that.
I hear what you're saying, and it's like regardless of if you put a concrete post there or you put up a placard, the fact of the matter is they're going to it.
Or just,
Put it in
my
the deed.
concern is people are coming in, we've had cases where stuff is marketed and that message just gets lost, and then you've got somebody who's spent a lot of money for a very nice house and is very, very unhappy that they can't do something that they think is.
And they're coming to us for their accommodation.
Yeah,
It can be at writing at closing, too.
yeah, and this is, and it's not just necessarily the first buyer, but it becomes something that's problematic down the road, that future buyers are saying, why can't I have a patio behind my house? And, yeah.
No,
Jim?
no, wait.
Okay.
After you.
So that is one of the things where I'm feeling for, I see this as a challenge that is gonna impact both the buyer and us
And us.
in the future, and we've seen this happen, and it's how do we find a way to prevent it?
Well, I said at the table,
Sure.
writing as well.
We could put a condition that, a notice about the specific area and the markers and what's not allowed beyond them in the purchase and sale agreement of this
In
property
perpetuity?
in perpetuity, as well as on the deed.
Okay,
I have seen deed restrictions like that before.
Yeah.
There's a couple of sentences that explain that the property
So when
has
you sign,
riverfront
you
area,
know.
that
Yeah.
no activities are allowed beyond
Came back from Greystone,
those kind of things.
because they didn't have big enough backyards or side yards, or
What if they signed it?
they couldn't get behind there and they felt like they couldn't enjoy the property. And, yeah, that's, See
and
it.
then on looking at the maps online, there appears to be an easement on the open space and across lot 3. And that's not shown on these plans here, and I'm wondering, what's the nature of that easement? And I'm also, it doesn't look like the open space is in any way protected, and I'm wondering if that was part of the original subdivision approval, some type of a protection to make sure that the open space sliver remains that way.
It was part of the original permit that nothing was done. So we're not doing anything different than what it was at the time. The open space is a separate parcel, so
Yeah.
it's not part of Lot 3. So whoever owns this lot won't legally be able to do anything on the open space lot. I believe the open space lot is something that's gonna be conveyed to the town. I'd have to check on that.
Okay.
But I believe as part, this was a flexible subdivision, they let you kind of change the lot size and stuff like that. As part of that, you give open space.
Okay.
So I do believe that parcel is ultimately gonna be given to the town.
Okay, it would be nice to have that confirmed.
Yep.
I'm just wondering what the trail easement, or what the easement is, because it just shows on the town maps as being an easement.
I'm not sure.
I think it's a drainage easement.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it isn't shown, if you look at, this is lot 3, it does follow this kind of similar, the drainage, as proposed, and then comes down.
Over there,
And
okay.
Yeah, I
then-
mean,
and-
if
but- and it is
it
shown-
follows the pipe, it's probably for the drainage in case,
Okay.
Right. And-
maintenance was ever needed to be done.
But the easement is shown on the rear, I don't think it's called out. But it's this kind of dashed line that is angular. So it is being shown, and
Okay. So, yeah, if you just, label that it's a
Clarify.
drainage easement, so
Yep.
that there's no confusion in the future.
So, did you go back to the planning board for this?
We're about to. So I believe the only thing we're gonna need from them is a stormwater permit for, disturbance over an acre. And they're probably gonna want a bond, posted as well with the town, for any work that's gonna be done on the road, such as the top coat, stuff like that. But I don't think we need to go back otherwise, because the
So-
lots are already subdivided. So the subdivision action has happened, which would be the main thing the planning board would.
Right, but so when are you gonna finish up with them? Because we won't do anything until you're finished with them.
Hopefully soon. We're also working with the Board of Health on the septic designs, although those are outside, the resource areas and buffer zone.
Yeah.
But I believe we're applying to the planning board to be on their agenda in early April.
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
so just first to the commission, seeing if you would be interested in a site visit sometime next week. Again, think about it, let me know. The silt fence, the erosion control detail is shown as silt fence and straw bales. Is that still the proposed?
Yep.
Oh, with the straw bales,
Yep.
it's not straw it won't be wattles?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. I think that's what was on there before, so we just wanted to keep it
Yeah,
as
again,
similar as possible.
what I-
I know they don't like to use hay anymore,
Yeah,
straws.
no,
the preferred,
again,
so-
it's usually just
I think we just changed that word.
everybody goes to the wattles, so,
Yeah.
wanted to just double check. And just the existing tree line, there's an existing tree line that's shown on the plans. I'm assuming that's not the existing tree line.
That was probably the existing tree line from when it was first done out there. I don't think it's radically different other than the road itself, where
Okay.
they would have cleared for that.
Yep.
There was a lot of lawn area already, because there was an existing house before this lot was subdivided, and that was all lawn area.
And just on lot 2, the area kind of west of the driveway, within the buffer, I'd like to see the conservation posts continue to there and, allow that to be renaturalized, allow that corner to be renaturalized.
Sure.
And additionally, on lot 3.
So you're talking this kind of front
Yep,
corner
that
right
that whole,
where that buffer is.
yeah, so come straight down along the driveway.
Got it.
That little triangle, if there isn't any need to start with why. And then questions on lot 3. There aren't any conservation posts being shown at the 100-foot buffer. I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
The erosion control is shown at the bottom of the basin. Is that,
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to put erosion control kind of in the basin or right in the middle of that slope, so we kind of wanted to keep the same limit of work that was there before. But
Okay.
if you want me to move it up, I can do so.
yeah, just so that, there isn't any creep, yeah, and it also protects the basin, from the grading, so we're not having slumping going into it. And then just, again, any activity or alteration of the basin would require filing with the commission, but that's just.
One more set of questions on the markers. Could you go to lot 1, starting with lot 1? Most of the markers that you have shown look like they're on the order of 50 feet apart, except there's a big gap over here that's like over 100 feet. Could you put another one in there?
Sure.
Okay. And how about on this boundary? It's a slightly different symbol than what you had on all the others. It's a smaller one. I don't know, is that supposed to be a marker or is that something else?
Yeah, that could potentially have been a lot, like a lot property line marker.
We put up a conservation marker right next to it so
Yeah.
that it doesn't appear as though it just ends here. It goes all the way
Yeah,
to
it should be a
the
continuous
property
thing.
line, right?
So.
Okay, so the spacing about 50 feet and have bounds at the edges. Okay.
Sure.
Could you go to lot 2, please? All right, exactly where are all the bounds here? When Matt was asking about a section, I thought he was talking about up there, and I'm concerned about down here.
No, this was where I was.
Yeah, that's where he was talking about, yeah.
This triangle is where I was.
Yeah, I believe it was.
These already look like they're about 50 feet apart or less. And you go up to the well and then back around, and then they just sort of stopped, right? But they're gonna continue on down along the 50-foot mark.
I believe they were along the riverfront, which is probably why it stops once you get outside the riverfront. So that was the original intention.
Yeah, I was just hoping either 1, 2, 3, or 2 kind of just along this from where the bound crosses where the 100-foot buffer crosses up to, the retaining wall.
But I think what we're saying is as things have evolved over time, because of the issues we've had in the past, where the limit of work is, we want those bounds along the limit of work so it's maintained.
Yeah, that was probably Natural Heritage that wanted that to begin with,
Yeah.
not the commission, so I'm sure that changed over time, so.
Again, on the order of 50 feet. All the ones that you do have shown are 50 or less on this lot, so that's good. And then, are there any planned at all on lot 3?
Plan as far as what?
Markers? Posts?
There wasn't any proposed, but I don't think we'd have an opposition to doing
Is
so.
it a steep drop-off? Is that what you're assuming?
Yeah, it's
that will be the
relatively steep, so that's the stormwater basin back there.
Yeah.
And that's probably a 3-to-1 slope.
Is this part of the storm apparatus connected up here?
Correct, so that's where it
Yeah,
comes in and
that's the
then it
whole
comes
There's no
out.
other drain lines in this direction, right?
Yep,
Okay, it's all off the drain line.
correct.
All right, I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
My only question was on Lot 3. The proximity of the proposed underground storage propane tank to the proposed roof infiltration system. How deep is that tank buried in there? Is there any, I'm assuming it probably has some sort of cathodic protection or something, but is it okay to have that roof infiltration that close to that tank? Although when I look at the scale, it's probably like 20 feet away, but I didn't know if there were any issues with that.
Probably at least 10, that's typically what you want to keep as
Okay.
far away as a distance for something like that.
So that's, distance is fine then?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's infiltration into the ground, so that's not like a well that would be taking in anything from the tank.
Okay.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the audience on this application? Come on up. Come on up.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
microphone and tell us who you are and where you live.
The stormwater basin, that's still
Tell
going to stay.
tell us who you are. and
Wow.
where
Oh,
you live.
Karen, 5 Texas Road. Karen Yim, 5
Yep.
Texas Road. I'm in a butter.
Okay.
So the stormwater basin, you said that's going to remain?
It will
as
stay,
is?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not going to be changed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
It's going
That-
to stay the way it's been for 15 years. And if
Yes.
it's been working for 15 years, it shouldn't stop now.
Okay. And how do you measure the, what is it, the buffer between the, like the perennial stream and the wetlands? I mean, it's 100 feet from the wetlands or something?
So
And
wetland.
how does that
what
get measured?
you typically think of as a wetland has a 100-foot
Yeah.
buffer.
Yeah.
Westford has its own local.
where do you measure that
It's
from?
from basically the line of where you would consider it the boundary between wetland and upland. And a wetland is kind of characterized based on the soils and
Yeah.
the plantings in it. We hire a wetland scientist that goes out there, and she basically says, okay, based on my knowledge and experience, this is wetland and this is not.
Oh, it has nothing to do with the water table of where it is at
It's
some point.
related to the water
a point
table.
in time.
It's not what you're thinking of like surface water on the ground. Like you won't go out there,
Yeah.
you won't see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a wetland scientist, you might see it,
Mhm.
but the average
Mhm.
person wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
And then a stream
Mhm.
that runs all year round has a 200-foot offset.
Yes.
And that's the riverfront
Yes.
area, and that stream is up here, kind of on the opposite side of the property. I think that's north. Yeah, so that's over here, and that has a 200-foot.
So how do you measure that stream? From where to where?
So it's basically the bank or the edge of the stream.
Yeah?
You just take that line, and that one's more obvious, that's water, that's
I
the high
mean,
water
the
line.
stream could be like that.
And
So
and
how do you
sometimes the line does go like that.
Mhm.
But you take
So you
that,
measure the widest point of that stream?
it's really
So
the
the-
edge,
the
so
edge,
the width of it doesn't really matter, it's,
Mhm.
it's the furthest edge, and then you take 200 feet off of that. So-
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I don't know if anybody else.
Anybody else?
Emily?
Emily?
Emily Teller, 9 Texas Road. I'm not in a butter, but my back of my property abuts this whole area, and as you can tell, it's pretty sensitive. And it's been pretty wonderful for 38 years. There's a lot of critters back there. I just have some questions. Who is the name for the Minot Group? On the application, it just said the Minot Group. It didn't say any person there or anything. Is that the builder, or?
Don't know.
It's the current owner of the property, so the Cusanos are buying it from that entity.
So they haven't bought it yet?
It's a purchase and sale agreement right now.
Okay, but there was still no name for the Minot Group, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Is that relevant to this discussion?
Okay. And then
No.
I did notice that the same biologist went out, which is great, and all this time and that time. And there's a 3,370 square foot area that would be disturbed in the outer riverfront area. That's for lot 1, I assume, right?
I think it
Am I
would
not-
be combined between lot 1 and lot 2, because there's
Okay.
riverfront area being disturbed on both. So it would be, because it's one filing, it would be cumulative, everything added together.
And that's okay with you guys, whatever they're doing to disturb that? Okay. And the-
Typically, you gotta be under 10%.
Yeah, 10% of the outer riparian zone.
And I think it's far below that threshold.
And then there was mention of the wood turtle and Blanding's turtle in the older order of conditions, and I assume that kind of stuff is also still under consideration and maybe in the
That
order
would be
of
natural
conditions.
heritage coming
We'll-
back
we'll
and
wait to
making that
see.
determination.
We'll get a report from Natural
Yeah.
Heritage.
Yeah.
And then you'll have another thing to sign everything off.
Yep.
Okay, and then during construction, it was recommended that the proponent will provide an on-site or office manager and a supervising engineer. Is that still something that the
Standard.
CONSCOM requires?
Yeah.
Standard.
It's kind of a standard for the
I just didn't know, I hadn't read that in the
subdivision.
orders of conditions.
Yeah.
And then lastly, how is, before construction happens, once you get the report back from Natural Heritage, those are just written in the order of conditions, right?
Yes, I mean, they'll have a pre-meeting with him before anything happens.
You're saying, how does Natural Heritage's comments end up in the order of conditions?
Yes, get enforced.
So we make the finding, there'll be a finding that this was, their determination letter. If there are any conditions, I think there were a couple, and they just word for word get copied into the order. And that becomes part of the project record.
And the letter we'll get from Natural Heritage will say whether it's estimated or priority habitat for a certain species, and then it'll indicate whether the project as designed will be considered a taking of the species or not, and it'll indicate whether they could approve it or not, whether they will approve it.
And I assume the order of conditions will be similar to the one that was issued in 2005 or whatever, right? DEP?
Yep.
Okay, it was long. It was very detailed.
Yep.
So thank you for taking care of this area.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Emily.
Any other questions from the audience? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Karen Klein. I am one of the abutters at 3 Texas Road, and just a question about sightlines. So my property kind of looks back onto this property, and there is sort of a line of trees there, which provides, some coverage for that area or whatever. And I just wasn't clear from the plans if those trees are being taken down, if that's staying up there, sort of what I could sort of expect those
Where are you
sightlines to be.
talking roughly, do you know?
So I'm on 3 Texas, so I think it's mostly lot 2 if I'm
No, it's
looking
lot-
at things.
it's
Is it
lot
lot
three.
Lot 3, thank
Be
you.
lot 3, yeah.
Just what we could anticipate for sightlines there, the maintenance of those trees wasn't totally clear.
So, from what I remember out there, I believe it's cleared up till the basin. There's no trees here right now. I think there's some, kind of right up against the property line here. This shows the driveway coming in right up to the property line, essentially. I don't know how much tree you have of a buffer.
I guess I'm
on
just
your end.
asking if there's an intent to clear more of that out, or if what is there is going to be maintained.
I don't believe anything more is going to be cleared.
Okay.
And if it is, it's outside, I will say it's outside of the conservation area. But I don't think anything more is being cleared
Okay.
than what's there now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Come on up.
Sandeep, I live on 87 Carlisle Road on this side. Just wanted to make sure, so you have this triangle which is undisturbed now. I think you've cleared all this one. And I'm hoping you can leave those trees. It's a natural boundary, and I think the plan here seems to be fine. If you could leave those trees, that would be good. I think that's
Which trees are you talking about?
in this triangle here. I think that was what Matthew was
Yeah, so
mentioning as
we
well.
don't show any grading in that area, so I don't
Nothing,
think we
yeah.
need to.
This won't be disturbed, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right,
And
thank
that's
you.
also outside the commission's jurisdiction, so we
Yeah.
can't really enforce something that's there.
Something like that, you'd have to go to the planning board, when it goes before the planning board, okay, for stuff outside our buffer. Just so you
But it
know.
doesn't seem like anything's happening.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
anything so.
Happy to answer while they.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no. Any other questions from the audience?
Can I ask another tree question?
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, just have to speak for the trees. Emily Teller, 9 Texas Road. Will any trees be planted as part of this development?
I don't,
Not that I know of, but
No,
Don,
because
are
he's
you
not-
planning on planting anything up there?
We are, yes.
I hope
Also be interested in what, you know, there was a subdivision, the flexible development approval probably had some
I
plantings.
believe on the original plan, this tree's already marked.
Yeah, if there's
Yeah.
street
So-
trees on the original plan from 2005, then I think that is something that you still have to do.
Correct. It's on the left-hand side going all the way up Lot 3. There's new trees going in with the old trees. And to answer the question of some of the other folks, some of the brush that's on the left-hand side going up there will be cleared out because it's just overgrown brush. The good trees will all be saved. Additional trees and landscaping will be put in there as a buffer. So,
And it'll
we
be,
plan on living on that lot, so it will be dressed up very
oh,
nice.
that's nice. Welcome. So they'll know about
So
all
they'll make sure.
all the bounds that they
So-
can't put anything on, okay.
so once again, we control anything within the 100 feet. So, you know, in all of our orders would always say that we want native trees planted. Anything else, you got to talk to the planning board.
Okay. And native bushes too, right?
Yeah, talk to the
Yeah.
planning board, that's all.
Okay.
That should be in their orders when they issue them.
Okay, thanks. Did you all ever get a list of native species anywhere around yet? Okay, still working on that.
Any other questions from the audience?
Mr. Chair, just one thing. The erosion controls are being shown on the open space parcel. I just want to make sure that if that
I don't believe the town controls it yet.
okay, that was going to be,
I think it's all, you know.
if it's in flux and,
Yeah.
all right, okay, great. That
and
was
I
my
think-
one thought.
I think you'd rather have it than not have it, than have the erosion onto the open space property.
Just check.
So the planning board's going to have that in their order about that parcel, correct? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so when do you want to continue this and write the orders? Because we want to make sure that you're done with the planning board.
What are your next two meetings?
The 13th and the 27th?
Yes.
So if we're going to planning board in early April, I don't think we'd be ready for April 13th to come back here.
I don't believe we've received anything for the planning board for this address yet, and the deadline's typically about 4 weeks prior to the meeting, just to give you a rough timeline for whenever you're planning to submit.
So I think the
27th for now?
would be
Yeah,
a
we can do the
safer.
27th, sure.
Do you have a problem with 27th?
Because we'd close and issue the orders then,
Same night.
same
Yeah,
night.
Same night. Good. Okay, motion to continue this public hearing to April 27th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 7:25, which is a public hearing for Corvos, 12 Wheatwell Way, 334-1791.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, at 7:25 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the Notice of Intent Application Dean Caravos, Weedamoo Estates Incorporated, for demolition of an existing structure and construction of a single-family dwelling, site grading, installation of associated utilities, portions of which are within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 12 Weedamoo Way, Lot 1.
Is that our cue? For the record, my name is Paul Alphin. I'm an attorney from Westford, Massachusetts. And this is Matt Waterman. He's with Land Tech Consultants, Inc. of Westford, Massachusetts. And for the longtime members of the Conservation Commission, this is a rerun. This has to do with Camp Weedamoo. We used to be the YWCA camps on Long Sword Fort Pond. In one of the buildings, which was famously the mess hall. And in 2014, our client, Weedamoo Estates, Inc., obtained from the Conservation Commission an order of conditions to raise, with a Z, the mess hall and put in a single-family house with a garage. And we all went down there, we conducted a site visit, walked around, figured out where it was going to go, where it was going to be vis-a-vis the lake, where it was in relationship to land that had been previously disturbed, where the driveway should go. Order of conditions was issued. Later, there was an amendment to the order of conditions, I believe, to add the garage. And ultimately, the order of conditions was extended once, and it was extended to 2019. And at that point, it languished and nothing happened. So, as you know, it expired. And we're back here with a notice of intent for the identical project to do the same thing, same plan, same house, same garage, same everything. And because that's the process, because you just can't automatically extend an order of conditions which was expired. But for the new members, Matt Wadham is here, who's going to explain some of the details so you can get comfortable with what's happening.
I'll keep it quick. Thank you, Paul. Lot is, as you're going up Wiedemann Way, which is, it's about halfway up the hill, it's on your left. Its access is actually from an emergency access drive that is for and shared between Wiedemann Estates and the Summer Village. There's a new driveway that comes down to the camps, or the former camps. It's accesses there's several buildings, outbuildings down on this lot. It's lot 1. It's approximately 3 acres. Down by where the camps are, it's fairly level, and then as soon as you get up into the hill and up towards the emergency access drive, it's steep, going from an elevation of about 200 up to actually about 280 by the time you get up to Wiedemann Road, which is in the upper right corner of this plan. The resource area, there's a bordering vegetated along the shoreline of Long Sought Fork Pond. There's a floodplain that mimics the shoreline of Long Sought Fork Pond. It's elevation 194. It's shown on the plans, and it mimics the shoreline almost exactly. There is not in a zone 2, no rivers or natural heritage. And as Paul said, we're redeveloping the mess hall. It's primarily on the same footprint. We did shift it further away from the lake. The existing mess hall is about 67 feet from the lake, and the proposed footprint is 73 feet away. So we're about 6 feet further away from the structure to the lake. The plan that's in front of you is the same plan that was approved in 2014 through 19. We didn't make any changes to the plan. We just updated it with the lot line adjustment that was done that you actually can't even see in this viewport. There was a lot line adjustment with lot 2. We are going to maintain the 2 accessory dwellings that are shown along the shoreline. There's one that's out on the point that was the counselor's house or camp. And then the dwelling to the upper left, which is also going to be maintained. Grading is limited. There's just excavation for the foundation. There's no real proposed grading. The driveway gets replaced kind of in kind down behind the house. There is some minor grading in that area and connecting the driveways, but there's no significant grading with the project cutting into the hills or tree clearing. We do upgrade the septic, so the grades do come up a little bit with the septic system, just bringing it into compliance with kind of the current regulations. Drainage, we do provide some roof drains, small trench drains along the edge of the driveway, and then a small detention basin at the base of the driveway. And these were all kind of, when we went through the notice of intent back in 2014, just kind of critical areas where we felt water was runoff and potential either from the pavement to the lake, and so we provided these drainage items to help mitigate that runoff before going to the lake. Percent impervious, it's actually about the same. The house gets a little bigger with the garage. The footprint's the same of the house, the actual, the dwelling, but with the increase in the garage. There's currently not a garage with the site today, but there's a reduction in the pavement. So the actual percent impervious for the lot balances out to within 100 square feet. And then as far as the future maintenance of the property as a whole, we had developed kind of two sections, and one's along the shoreline on plan left. And that's kind of like the existing area that's maintained. It was maintained when it was a camp. We call that section AA. It includes a small beach area, the dock, and then there's some trees, but it's maintained below the tree line. There was outdoor hand washing station, all sorts of things with the camp, and they've maintained that. And then as you wrap around the point and go to the northeast, on the kind of lower right or plan lower right, there was section BC. That part we were going to maintain as natural. There was primarily natural state. It was vegetated under, there was some low-lying growth, and so we felt like that was able to be maintained, and so that was just kind of a long-term maintenance or use of the property, and the commission agreed at the time, and we looked to continue that with this plan. I don't have anything else. I'd be happy to answer any more questions.
There is one minor change on the plan. It shows on the east property line an area for restoration area where there'd be proposed to naturalize, plant with some rhododendron and American holly, and it shows a 15-foot wide gap in between the restoration areas. Would restore all of that area. It would, we're not going to have the 15-foot wide gap there anymore.
Yeah, and I forgot to talk about that. There is, it's within the 50-foot buffer. The 50-foot buffer turns and goes along the shoreline. This was the original driveway and access for the camps before, the improvements were done with Weedamoo Estates. And so we had on the plan that there would be a buffer zone restoration within the 50-foot buffer. And we had left an access just at the time back in 2014. It was still, things were kind of being stabilized from the construction adjacent. And so we felt like we needed to maintain that. It doesn't get utilized. So the driveway is not as steep as they had concerns with originally, and so they don't utilize that access road as much as they thought they would. And so
it's going to be abandoned.
As Paul said, we'll maintain that entire area as restoration, and we can make that plan change. It didn't make it to this plan set, but it's kind of breaking development.
Comments?
Guys, remember the beach area being that big? I didn't remember that being improved to that size. I remember there was something more rudimentary there, but I didn't remember seeing any established beach area like that.
Yeah, this one looks like it's going to the existing tree line.
Yeah, and then I would say that, while I don't remember the pump structure from that one bedroom up to the septic, even though it's within the 100, we must be doing maximum feasible compliance there?
Well, it was there before.
Was the pump chamber there before? It's proposed. That's new.
Proposed. Right now, there is, all the buildings are connected to the leach field, which is underneath the driveway, which is where our proposed leach field is. We're updating all of the tanks and all of the components, so every component will be brand new.
But I don't remember that being part of the previous plan.
These plans are supposedly from May of 2014 with the.
No, hey,
If that's the case, we should have them in
that was
writing.
8 years ago, so,
I know,
I
we
don't
can't
remember.
but-
I mean, but that's also, it is one of the COC requests that have been requested by the applicant.
One of the what requests?
The certificates of compliance.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to dig into them again,
Right,
knowing.
we can just look in the file, and we'll see exactly how big that beach area was in 2014.
Mhm.
Are those two buildings, are they just seasonal use? Are they year-round?
I think they are year-round, and I think
Yeah.
he just uses them as guest houses currently.
I see.
But, so we'll be able to see if those were proposed before then. I
Right.
just don't remember that. Other than that, I remember pretty much the layout as is. I remember going out there and you guys coming absolutely as close as you could to our setbacks with the development of the area in front of the house, that, I won't call it a porch, but the patio area per se. Now, were those pervious or impervious? Because I thought we had a discussion about that at the time.
I think they're listed as pervious with an extra E on some of the pavers, but not on.
Yeah, I'd have to double check.
Yeah, because I remember us having that discussion during the site visit, and I think we were pushing for pervious at the time.
You have a better memory than I do, Peter.
Well, there was a lot going on in the site. I remember we going out and doing a site
Yeah.
visit and having to look at the view shed, and there was a lot going on.
Yep.
I can follow up. The next one, Matt, if you scroll to the next page. And I think on the right-hand side where we proposed to keep it maintained, I think it was, or naturalized, excuse me. It was just if there's a tree fall, I think it was just, the language was in there just to clean up a felled tree. But on that section that's in front of the house,
Can you use a pointer?
absolutely, that's a
Yeah,
good
there.
idea. So in this section,
Yeah.
this is maintained today, and the intent is to continue to maintain. There's the house here that accesses, and this house, so it's hard to tell, in the picture it's not very representative, but there's foot traffic and access all through this area.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it needs to be maintained, just because there was foot traffic.
And nowhere do we
Really?
allow people to prune trees within the 100 foot. I mean, if there was a lawn area, that's fine, but we don't allow
Just
people
because
to
you're walking through there
do
doesn't
anything
mean
to
you.
the trees, right?
So,
Am I crazy here?
well, and I
I've never
think-
remembered it. Right?
And I wasn't on the commission in 2014, but one of the things that strikes me is that there's no limit of work on the pond side. You know, you look at what the house that is going to be built, and then you look towards the pond, there's no limit of work or limit of disturbance or anything in place to, you know, to kind of.
Let it be natural.
No, it's right to the edge, and they were, I mean, as part of their construction, I mean, they're up against all their limits right here, and there really wasn't supposed to be anything working in front of that.
Well, and I'm thinking that, you know, is where we are going forward and how we've seen, activity around the pond, we really want to have we want at a minimum the 30-foot no disturb to really protect the resource. You know, and have it demarcated in perpetuity so that it doesn't long-term become more maintained than it is today.
It was never meant to be managed. What was talked about was, you know, I thought some very selective cutting of a couple of branches, but no long-term maintenance whatsoever of anything in front. That's just my recollection.
We can try and get updated pictures and certainly reevaluate that.
To be continued.
Well, you guys can go back out there and look at it again. I mean, we went out there and did a site visit.
8 years ago now? Wow.
Yeah.
I think we did, I'm pretty sure we did.
What?
Site visit.
Oh, absolutely. I was one of the few site visits I've ever been to in my life. Absolutely.
Well, there's a lot going on. You guys had to mark stuff out and let us, you know, we had questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a quick one.
Yeah, so the major issue here is not the house itself, because we went through this back then.
Yeah.
It's what's going on in front of the house along the shoreline.
Or just along the shoreline entirely.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, the whole lot, yeah.
Yeah, and it was not meant to be managed.
This area here,
Back out there.
this is naturalized, right?
Correct, that section was today, and it was,
The area you guys are really concerned about here.
correct.
Really, but other than that beached area, the rest of it really was, I mean, it's not like it's grassed or maintained or, you know,
There's no irrigation system in it.
no.
But you can see what it's like. You can see the house there, all the way to the house.
You mean in that picture in the insert?
Yeah, that's the house down, up on the top there.
Yeah, that's looking at the far,
Yeah, along that shoreline.
this house here
That
is
is the
that
house.
house
House
there.
right there,
So
yeah.
I'm standing here,
Yeah.
give or take, looking up the shoreline. So this is beyond it. It's hard to see in the photo, but
Right. Back out there, you can go back out there. You wanna go back out there?
Matt, have you seen it?
I have not. I was
Oh, you need to go out there.
gonna go out. If
Set up a date, and I've been there.
Set up a date.
You wanna go, Nicole? Noel?
Oh, you're doing a Maryland.
She's younger than I am, too.
I've fallen
like to
into
go.
line
I
and
haven't
she's
been.
fallen out.
Yes, you like seeing it. It's a beautiful piece of property.
All of that
It's gorgeous when it was the girls' YMCA camp.
I remember when they did scouting there.
Question on
Yeah, go ahead,
a
go ahead.
different
go
topic
Yeah,
than the
go ahead.
shoreline. It says roof line here. That's not the edge of the roof, that's the peak of the roof? Is that?
Correct, I believe so,
that's a
yes.
peak.
And I can see over here you have a drain to a dry
Right.
well.
Yeah, we
Right.
made
What
it put
happens
that
to-
all in.
What happens to the runoff on this side? Where does it go?
I don't know if we accounted for all of the roof drain or not. I'd have to double check. I know that there was in going through, there was a small detention basin here. There was the roof drain for the house that picked up the backside. And then there was a infiltration trench, along this edge that picked off runoff that kind of bypassed the garage, and headed to the lake here. I'd have to double check, and I don't know if we accounted for this section or not.
First I thought this, but I think this is your grill, right?
Yeah, it's an outdoor cooking area, correct.
Okay, I didn't find a dry well.
Okay, so Matt, set up
Yep.
site visit?
Set up one tomorrow.
Anybody wants to go out? There we go.
I'll reach out to coordinate.
Good? Any other questions from the audience on this application? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue this to our April 13th meeting.
Oh, one more question before
Yeah,
we continue.
yeah, go ahead.
The last page of the plans that we got have the dock shown. Is there a
Yeah,
dock?
that's not ours.
Right, it's not ours, so.
We don't control
I
docks.
think that's.
No. We can say that they need to get a chapter 91, but it's not our, I mean, we
don't
can't,
approve
you know,
or
it's a,
disapprove or
you know,
say.
Right.
yeah, we advise,
Want to make sure.
we advise
That
that
has
it needs a
something that's
chapter
been
91
clarified by
license
town
as it
council.
is a great pond and as such. But we,
Our jurisdiction might be if they wanted to have something on the land that the dock's attached to.
Well, we'd look at that, and we'd want to know where they want to store the dock,
Yeah.
That too.
you know, when they
That's
pull it
something
out.
else.
So we'd need a location.
and just to kind of follow up the discussion before, all that's shown on the details, construction, the details page, 404, is pervious pavers and roof drain, so there isn't an impervious paver, so,
For the deck.
yeah, for the, patio in front.
We kind of moved forward since, you know, you had that previous one that we always wanted the previous pavers now. Okay, so can I have a motion to continue this to our April 13th
So
meeting?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you on the site visit? Maybe Paul will come out again.
Yes, I think we'll make sure Paul gets the invite.
I look forward to it. Not doing it in mosquito season, that'd be good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good.
It's that rare time.
Thank you, guys.
We'll shoot for mayfly season.
Thank you. Good night. Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing to amend and issue amended order of conditions for Gibbons at 53 Elm Road, 334-1772.
Good evening.
Evening,
I
guys.
think we need to read the public hearing notice.
Okay.
Oh, we do, yeah, because there's an amendment. You want to read this? Yeah, we need to read this, yeah. It's an amendment.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, at 7:35 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request to amend the order of conditions of Robert and Margaret Gibbons for revised grading to provide additional flood storage in bordering land subject to flooding and within 100 feet of Nabnasset Lake at 53 Elm Road.
Okay, gentlemen.
Good evening. Mark Slager from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of Robert and Margaret Gibbons, Also with me is Dan Doherty, the future builder of the house. You recall back in this fall, we presented a plan to the commission. It showed some filling of the floodplain. There is no area on the lot to provide compensatory storage. The entire lot was in the floodplain. The commission approved it with the understanding that the water level increase of .0006 inches in the pond in the 100-year storm was negligible. Unfortunately, DEP didn't agree with that, and they thought that raising the lake level a thickness, quarter of the thickness of a piece of paper was not negligible. So they appealed the decision. Pardon me for being facetious about the DEP, but I thought it was above and beyond what they were gonna do. But anyway, we modified the...
We have a DEP employee across the way.
Yeah, but not in that division.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, what we ended up going back and forth with DEP several times, and we came to an agreement that we did not need to provide flood storage for any work associated with the new septic system, but we did, however, have to provide compensatory storage for all other work on the site. So we modified the grading to provide additional flood storage for everything except for the septic system. So everything else is the same septic system, same house footprint, same landscape buffers, same driveway. We just dropped the yard about 1.5 to 2 feet in some places just to provide additional flood storage. DEP was okay with it. They said to come back to the commission, get an amended order, and then they would withdraw their appeal.
Questions from the commission?
So the department had no other comments in regards to proposed house, location, any of that?
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Questions from the audience on this application? Okay, so you're all set with the orders? I assume they're
Yes.
basically the same. Can I have a motion to approve the order conditions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All set, guys.
Motion to close the public
So
hearing.
moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, you good?
Great, thank you very much.
Sometimes we're very
So
easy.
you got everything you need from the department, right? I just want to say, we just closed the public hearing, so hopefully you have everything you want.
Well, we just have to wait for them to withdraw the appeal now.
Okay.
That's right.
It'll be issued tomorrow.
Okay.
Been interesting. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, we're going to go to our next agenda item, which is a public hearing. Continue public hearing for Gravestone. The applicant expresses a continuance without discussion on May 25th.
We're gonna do this in perpetuity?
Pretty much.
Well, you know, it's not his fault at this point.
Had Paul here.
Yeah, I know. He didn't
He can't do anything without the state.
I know.
It's all about the state. You know, I mean,
Okay.
the state's
True,
behind
that's
in
true.
everything.
That's true.
You know, I still haven't got my permit for my wholesale food permit for my bakery. Yeah.
So how many months do you want to kick this out? I don't want to kick this out just 2 weeks.
We do it once a
They
month.
requested to May 25th.
No, we have to go away with the
So-
request.
Okay.
So- So motion to continue this to May 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, discussion items. Conservation land, tree removal and replacement. What's happening there?
It's on the schedule, now that it's after April 1st, the builders out at Griffin Road where we are getting some nice blocks of granite, they're ramping up their work schedule. I'm coordinating between them and Highway to pick them up and get them dropped off in locations that are suitable.
And what about,
We'll get the vegetation, the plantings done.
request for certificate of compliance, 13 Butternut Road?
I think the applicant is here
Sure, come on
to
up.
speak on it.
Yep. Tell us who you are.
Mike Toohill with Conoco Engineers and Scientists, and Bill Cruikshank, who's the property owner, is with me here as well.
Yep.
Excellent.
This was a project that received an order of conditions in 2002 for an addition to a house. It's outside the 25-foot buffer to the wetlands, but it's close. right, Matt? Matt was out there.
Yeah,
measuring it.
so the existing deck as proposed was to 25 feet. That was, we I went back and forth with Mike this afternoon regarding the as-built is, conditions of the deck are different than what was proposed, but it moves further inland and then goes up, another foot. So it maintains that 25-foot distance as proposed in the revised plan, because their original plan wasn't.
Must have been the footing for the deck that was.
Yeah, it was footings for the deck, and it was, so the deck footings got moved inland a foot, and then they moved back closer to the wetlands a foot. So you're getting two sides of a triangle, and it's maintaining the diagonal, the distance from the edge of the deck to the.
Do we have a diagram or a sketch or something?
Yeah, I can pull up something quickly.
And also, while you're doing that, Matt, I've got new copies of the recorded order. I think there was a page missing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
So I
just-
want to give you that, 3 of them. And I revised table 1, I sent that to you.
Thank you.
So I want to give you 3 copies of that. I have copies if the commissioners want that as well. Usually when I do a COC, I put together what I call table 1. It's in this package, and I take every condition that's in the order of conditions, and then I say how the project complied, didn't comply with it, if there are any variances from that condition. So that's in the package as well that Matt has. And what he's got up there now is, this is from the assessor's office. Since this project was done quite a while ago, the assessors have caught up, and so there's actually pretty good dimensioning of the structures anyway, not in relation to the wetlands, but the structure itself. So there was initially some concern about whether or not.
The wetlands is to the top left here, about going diagonally, probably almost at a 45. And the original design was about 4 feet over, and then 5 feet, 5 feet up. And this is 6 feet and 5 feet, and then it tracks the same distance away from, it is the same distance away from, and as Mike's request was seeking a waiver from preparation of an as-built plan.
He's not any closer than I think he's okay.
Yeah.
The what?
The wetland.
25 feet that we approved.
Well, Matt, do you have the plan?
It's previously closer than 25, and he's saying he's no closer than 25.
Yeah, I
Maybe
can
in
live with that.
in
I'm
my
not
package,
excited about it, but I
I
can
had
live
it too.
How many years later?
20?
So,
Yeah,
the original approved
We were here.
plan was 25 feet away.
Yeah.
He is 25 feet away, but in a different,
It's in a
slightly
different
location.
dimension, yes,
At a slightly
different
different
dimensions.
point.
The deck
Correct.
still has maintained 25 feet.
Right.
He wouldn't get that 25-foot to the wetland deck today.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
I can live with this.
Okay, we good
I'm
with
okay.
this?
Yeah, not gonna
Okay.
beat this
Yeah.
Okay.
poor doggy.
So can I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance with 13 Butternut Road, 3341145?
So moved.
Do we write a note or something that indicates what we're approving? Because we really don't have an as-built plan.
Yep, I'll put a note, put something in.
So if
So
we
you got a
ever-
motion, you got a second.
So if we ever have
All
to
in
look
favor?
back at it. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you're good.
All set.
Thank you. We'll go to closing now, Bill.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, what about these other two at 12?
They were just added as requested when the new notice of intent came in. I'll look at them and close them out when we issue the new order.
Okay,
so
great.
we'll
So we're not
Yep.
doing anything with that.
Okay.
Minutes?
Minutes, we good?
They're good.
No changes, corrections?
We're always good.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna have a site visit, he's gonna take care of that. So our next agenda item is an executive session. Is the Boy Scout here? Are you here for a
Are
reason?
you here just to watch for
Watch us?
the government meeting?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna go into executive session, okay?
That means you gotta leave.
But you're welcome back any other time.
Deliberate by
And
ourselves.
we're not coming out, we're gonna
We're gonna
adjourn.
close the
We're gonna
meeting in
close the
executive
meeting.
session.
But understand you are welcome anytime you'd like to observe us again. Hello?
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Night. Okay, I move to enter an executive session to discuss strategy with respect to acquiring a conservation restriction at 41 Hilder Street, as an open session may have a detrimental effect on the town's negotiating position and
We're on the air.
Yeah, no, it's,
Okay.
we're entering into the executive.
Yeah. And we
and
have
we're
to
not
do it-
gonna reconvene, well, we'll reconvene
By-
solely for the purpose of adjourning the meeting.
We have to do it by roll call vote.
Roll
Yeah,
call.
roll call.
Eric?
Yes.
Alan? Jim? Noel?
Yes.
Ann? Margaret?
Yes.
Peter? Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I'll wait for that air to go off. Did he hear me?
Oh, there he goes.
There we go. Okay, we're good.